police have announced they're still on the lookout for the beast that has been spreading fear throughout the entire city, and that has claimed 3 victims since Wednesday night. Authorities are asking all residents to remain indoors until the creature has been captured and the curfew is lifted. You're listening to 96.6, the Kirlian frequency. All night, every night. We just received a call off the air about another alleged encounter with the ghost of little Manuel Ramirez, who was killed under mysterious circumstances exactly 20 years ago this week. We advise everyone to avoid any type of contact with the spirit. Do not look at him directly in the eyes, and do not talk to him. He will try to deceive you and lie to you, and blame you for his death. If you see him, return home immediately and contact your nearest police station. Of course, ghosts and the like don't exist. However, just in case, our phone lines are open to listen to any strange or terrifying incidents that may have happened to you tonight.
Where am I? Why can't I move?
Unfortunately, you will need to leave a message for now. We've prepared something different for you tonight. We have a very special guest joining us here, practically a celebrity since his arrival in the city 4 weeks ago. The surveyor, Cain Eldridge, also known among the oldest residents of the city as the Foreigner or the Adversary, sent directly to Kirlian by the suits in the capital city.
What is this? Why did you bring me here?
Say hello to the audience, Cain. Like everyone says, if it happens in Kirlian, it's on the Kirlian frequency. You know, Cain, there has been a lot of speculation about what actually brought you to Kirlian. No one knows exactly what you are doing here or why, but there are a lot of theories and rumors.
There's no mystery, and I can't imagine what kind of theories or rumors are running around. I'm only here because of work. People saw me. I was measuring the abandoned old factory facilities.
And that took you a month?
Yes, that's right. Well, there were a few setbacks during those weeks, but the work is done, and I was planning to leave tonight until... my family's waiting back home. They'll worry if I don't show up.
I'm sorry, Cain, but maybe I'm not actually being, clear enough. Let me spell it out for you. What I'm asking is this. What really brought you to Kirlian?
The land. I'm working on a project where brand new factories will open in different locations in the area. But when we started getting ready, we found what looked like a mistake in the records. Basically, nobody knows how to get to Kirlian. Access is hidden. It looks like it's deliberate. Local roads look like a maze, and the city doesn't appear on any map.
It appears in our maps. Our kids have been drawing it in school for years.
Official maps. Everybody knows Kirlian. Everybody has a cousin or an acquaintance living in Kirlian. But nobody knows exactly how to get here.
And I understand you traced the maps with all entrances, streets, and routes.
They were for personal use. Please, I have a long trip tonight. It's raining. All I want to say is, if there's anyone listening right now who could come to the radio station and help me get
One more question. And I promise you, I will personally walk you to your car. Do you think there is something bad going on in the city? Anything that would deserve a warning or our attention?
No, there's nothing wrong in Kirlian.
You don't think there's anything that justified sending maps and specific instructions to the governor? Not the mayor, but to the province's governor, asking for all access to be shut down. And the National Guard to be brought in?
If I don't speak to my family right away, to my brother, they will look for me and... What was that?
Cain, thank you for being here tonight. This month's celebrity in Kirlian. We wish you a great trip. The rain stopped and we featured Cain Eldridge on the Kirlian frequency.
You know how to get here.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned. We heard from the local police, and the creature has finally been captured. The next song is dedicated to them, to honor their bravery. The creature that fatally wounded 3 residents over the past 2 nights was ultimately identified as a mountain lion by our expert veterinarians, and it was captured and taken down by members of local law enforcement. Our hero is our dear Officer Nunez, who I hope gets a really nice lunch tomorrow as a reward for his bravery. Anyway, I suggest staying in tonight. It's cold, and there are ghosts. And regarding that mountain lion, you know what they say. Where there's one, there's usually more. The night of the comet is only 20 days away. It stopped raining, and April's last full moon is finally shining. On the next segment, strange lights hovering over Kirlian, an invasion or tourists. We'll be right back.
I'm just passing through Kirlian, going to see a friend. We were supposed to travel together, but we had an argument. She went by herself and had an accident returning home. I guess I got lucky and she didn't. I hate driving at night, but everything happened so quickly. Between getting notified and going looking for her, the motorcycle appeared so suddenly right before the road split that I had to pull a maneuver so we wouldn't get killed. With the fast turn, I changed lanes, but didn't realize until it was too late. One of the 2 on the motorcycle, the one in the back, looked at me directly in the eyes while they passed by. His eyes were green and bright. I thought they were going to block me, rob me, but they kept going. The car began to break down a few kilometers ahead. I was able to get to a gas station, and from there I called the hospital where my friend was staying, but there was no news. A girl from here, who works at that station, I guess, told me that some friends of hers had an auto repair shop and told them about my car breaking down. They explained the car issues to me and told me it would be ready first thing tomorrow morning. They took me downtown, where I am currently staying, and waiting for them so I can continue my trip. I'm sure you know the place. It's in front of a small plaza with some poorly lit mechanical games. And I want you to understand something. I live in a city that's bigger and more dangerous than Kirlian, and I'm not scared to walk alone at night. But there they were, both guys from the motorcycle in the small plaza. They're standing there right now. These people live like that, sleep all day, party all night. They think they never will get old, and more so, think they are never going to die. They screamed all this stuff when I passed by in front of them, but I kept walking like I had not heard them. The key is to never show them any fear. I ran out of the house in such a hurry that I didn't even grab my purse, so the first thing I did was wash the clothes I was wearing. Then I laid down but couldn't fall asleep. I thought about leaving and hitchhiking, to not keep wasting my time like an idiot. But tonight the route was empty. Then I smelled a strong stench that came from the small patio where I had hung my clothes. And I saw the smoke that began heading into the room. It was coming from the patio of the adjacent room, so I asked the old man who lived there, in the most polite way, to put out whatever he had on before the smell covered all my clothes. I insisted, but to no avail. I began working when I was 15 years old so I could leave home. And now I'm ready to get a promotion, and it doesn't matter, in a big company. I am where I am due to my efforts because I never let anyone tell me what I could or couldn't do, and more specifically because I understand that if I need something to happen, I have to do it myself. By midnight, the hospital still didn't have any news. And screams from the old man's room woke me up. It was his voice, but there were other voices too. The guys from the plaza. His voice wasn't any of the voices I had heard before with the old guy. But it sounded familiar. The first time I encountered them on the road, I thought his eyes were shining, and I assumed that was because we almost bumped into each other. Now, when I saw his feet didn't touch the floor, I had no doubts about what was going on. I fell asleep after that, almost through the night, until I received a phone call telling me that Carla had died. At the very same time, the guys from the plaza started yelling outside on the street again. But this time, there was another familiar voice. The girl from the gas station. On my room side table, there was a card with this phone number. It said emergency, but this is not the police I'm talking to, right?
In Kirlian, the police don't work at night.
I want to know why you people think you won't get old. Or die. Or the people that you love won't die. Please. I don't want to die.
And what will you do to avoid that? This is the Kirlian frequency. All night, every night. The next song is dedicated to our night visitor, hoping she understands what's going on before it's too late. Our friends at the Highway Patrol inform us that a Citroen 3CV left Kirlian a few moments ago with an unknown destination. I wish a long and happy life to whomever is in that vehicle, and that they never dare to come back to our city. It's obvious that their luck, if that's what it is still intact. And to the rest of you, enjoy the daylight as much as possible. Longer nights are coming, and so are problems. It's dawn in Kirlian, and that means two things. The first is that you can let your guard down for now. The monsters are ready to disappear. Second, that tonight's broadcast is coming to an end. This is your favorite broadcaster telling you good morning and sweet dreams. Still on air, sleepless friends. Our first peaceful night in a long time. It is a great opportunity for you to get near a window and appreciate the beautiful starry night. It just might be a good distraction to what's haunting your dreams. But you and I both know that this peacefulness will not last long. The lines are open. You're on the air at the Kirlian frequency. But if it isn't the one and only director of our neighborhood council...
Call me Adela, sweetie.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Listen to me. I don't know if you are already aware, but I wanted to tell you about something strange. The graffiti that is appearing everywhere. Every day this town is closer to the brink of the abyss.
Well, adolescents look for new ways to express themselves. Surely it's just a...
Those adolescents that you speak of tagged the monument in the plaza. Talk about showing disrespect to a local hero. They don't have any respect toward traditional values. The truth is that these kids scare me. Norma tells me that they don't know what to do in school.
Maybe our beloved town is really due for a new look. Something new for a change.
They put horns on the statue. Don't you think that's a little too much? We can't let things like this happen in Kirlian. Please tell me that you will deal with this issue immediately.
Wait, isn't tonight girls' night out?
Girls' night? Listen to what you're saying. But yes, tonight is game night.
That was Adela Beaumont talking to us about the new artistic expressions that are arriving in our town. And in other news, the inexplicable mice invasion that caused a scandal at the 104th school still has not been contained. We will keep you all informed of when it's safe for your little devils to go back to school. You are on the air at the Kirlian frequency, all night, every night.
I don't understand what the problem is with that lady or the graffiti.
Oh, great. We have a defender of the arts. So there's nothing wrong with vandalizing a statue?
I don't know, there could be. But what I do know is that there's nothing wrong with tradition. Some things are meant to stay the way they are, and there's a reason for the strange things that are happening.
I have a feeling that you're involved with the graffiti. Shouldn't you and your friends be careful? It's late.
You think we're just boys goofing around, but I'm telling you, there's something out there that keeps us all awake at night.
Your parents might have taught you what happens to those who play with fire.
We know what we have to do. We're going to give Kirlian a new look.
Of the new and old generations give their opinion on air at the Kirlian frequency. Will this dispute ever come to an end? Here are some words from our sponsors.
Kirlian Home, the best selection and more for your home. Electrical appliances, furniture, silverware, totems, and the best customer service. Open from Monday to Tuesday, all day, until the sun goes down. The house is not responsible for any accidents. Other customers might suffer. Contact customers who are afraid to head out into the nocturnal best will be forced to leave. Return policy is valid if the packaging has been opened. So the future does not come with any unforeseen surprises. Dr. Valanda knows what's best, and he'll make it a reality. Next June 1st, make sure to cast your vote for Dr. Valanda, municipal representative. Both sides of the superstition.
You told me you were going to take care of it. You have no idea what those vandals did to me. How is it possible for these things to happen
I
here?
can't imagine who could be able to hurt such a distinguished settler.
I'm astonished. Those boys laugh at us. They mock us. You mock us. And after everything we've done for this town.
The community service done by this radio station takes some time in order to produce results.
With respect to the traditions of this town, which are very important to us, we will let those whose job it is to solve issues do their part. But let me tell you this, we will no longer tolerate disrespect.
They will tolerate no more disrespect. The hidden power of words, some say. The old-fashioned ideas said with old-fashioned words tend to be set in stone. Kirlian is a stone. However, there comes a time when a new idea shakes the ground, like it has done before. And maybe that idea, said with loaded words, might be more powerful than what a person can handle. This is why, kids, in order to play with fire, you need parental supervision. Sometimes the cage protects the small canary from the hungry cat. Of course, provided that the canary isn't locked in the cage with that black cat. Continue keeping you company, dear radio listeners. To those brave souls who are planning on going out, now is not a good time for that. are always contributing.
It seems like one of the boys forgot to return it. The minds of these young adolescents seem to be elsewhere. And, well, I won't pry any longer. We'll see each other at the next council meeting. Bye!
The school's PTA informs us that the mice plague that affected the establishment during the past few days has been controlled. The school is once again safe, and we have a peaceful night. Of course, mice are very tenacious creatures, and we all know how Kirlian nights can be. Now on the horizon, we can see a new storm closely brewing. On the next episode, ghostly voices come with the wind, messages from the afterlife, or fake broadcasting. Stay tuned. Third consecutive rainy night in Kirlian, and it doesn't seem like it's going to clear up anytime soon. In other news, earlier today, every calendar in our town is woken up with 8 fewer months than normal. As of this morning, everything ends on the night of April 30th. Incomplete, inconclusive, cut off. The expert astronomers from the esoteric Planetary Center of Kirlian have confirmed that on that same night of April 30th will be when the comet called CC82517 crosses the town sky, in the event that local newspapers still can't decide whether to call it Comet Night or the complete end of the world as we know it. Coincidence, my friends? In all honesty, I think not. And because of that, I have decided today we are going to do something different. No horror stories, no sorrow or hopelessness tonight. No, sir. Today we are celebrating Christmas. Christmas in April, because we probably won't get to May. Tonight we will only share good news in order to remind the universe that kindness and warmth exist in Kirlian. You know what I'm trying to say, don't you? So why not give us a call? If you don't know how to contact us, you can always find our number in the city's telephone directory. It will be handwritten on the last page, directly under the words, "The end is very close." And don't let the noise of the furniture falling apart, the pages from the Book of Magic rotting away, or the body flesh detaching itself from the bones distract you. Here at the radio station, we have a slight humidity problem. Nothing that will worry us in a couple of weeks. The first caller of the night, you are on the air.
I need help.
Oh, no, sir. Good news only tonight. It's Christmas, a time of peace and hope in hearts of men everywhere. Only call if you have something good to tell us. I can sit and wait here all night long. Well, are you in need of help in celebrating your birthday? Need to choose a present for your best friend? Or can't decide your favorite ice cream flavor?
I can't sleep. My neighbors are too noisy.
And do your parents know that you're awake at this hour?
My mom is gone, and my dad told me to hide here until he comes back.
Okay, well, let's see. What's the problem with your neighbors? Did they leave the TV up too loud? Are they celebrating a welcoming? Are they moving overnight?
My neighbor's kids are a couple of years older than me, and one of them died a few days ago. But right now he's floating outside his old bedroom window asking his brother to let him in.
Almost. I almost fell for it, but I saw that movie on Channel 6 last week. This is not the lot, it's Kirlian, and vampires don't exist. Next caller. And remember, only good news. You are on the air on the Kirlian frequency.
A school teacher had an accident a few years ago. He was in a coma, and now he says something terrible is coming.
Next caller, and I'm warning you all that I'm a bit frustrated with all these literary pranks.
The school just burst into flames, and this red-headed girl... It's not a normal flu. There are kids hiding in the cornfields.
Tonight is Christmas night. This is not the Scarecrow's dark night, everybody. Stop with the pranks. Just tonight, a normal night in Kirlian.
Those guys are outside right now, and I'm starting to feel that strange heat again.
Open up! We know you're in there!
Please help me.
I think it's time for me to remind you, Christmas never happens out there, because this is Kirlian. Don't leave your homes, don't go near any windows. This is not a drill or a telephone prank. Things will only get worse before it ends. and something tells me this will be a very bad night. We will be back shortly. Sunrise is upon us, Kirlian, or whoever is listening out there, far from our city limits. You might listen from your car radio, casually, and without knowing we exist, or are unable to find us even if you wanted to. And I'm sure some of you are recording this. I can feel how my words magnetize the air right now. I guess under different circumstances, I would look for you all, get rid of the evidence, and burn your homes to the ground. But something tells me that these recordings might be the only thing left of us very soon. More problems are arising, and unless things get resolved, things will only get much worse. But for now, if you are listening to this, even if we are in mid-April, I wish you all a Merry Christmas.
I became friends with the old man because he was a prisoner in his own home, because he was tied to his big wheelchair, and because no one should be denied a glass of water. I became his friend after getting that new job that required me to take a shortcut through my old childhood neighborhood, when I still didn't listen to the radio nor knew the whole truth about Kirlian. It wasn't long before he asked me to kill the neighbor's dog.
In consideration of our radio listeners, an anonymous complaint attached to the Angry Neighbors sheet in the local police archives. There's a house like this in every neighborhood, in every town. There are almost a dozen in Kirlian. Front porches of houses that children avoid due to fear and adults due to wisdom. Houses inhabited by witches, monsters, and ogres. You are listening to the Kirlian frequency.
Help me, were the first words I heard the old man say. I knew him by sight from when I was a child and had friends in the neighborhood who were afraid of him. He always sat against the window, just on the edge. I thought he was an ogre and that he lived in a house of evil. The interior of the house was not as one imagined. Instead of children's bones piled up against the wall, of which I had nightmares when I was a child, there was nice furniture and a wall full of portraits. He asked if I could pour him a glass of water and explained to me that the kitchen door was very slim for his wheelchair and therefore he couldn't do it himself. He told me that his daughters-in-law never left enough water because they despised him. His children, his daughters-in-law, his grandchildren, everyone lived in the big house, although they spent the day out, studying or working. The ogre, whom the children of the neighborhood feared, stayed inside all day, enclosed, alone, and most of the time without water. From that day on, I visited the old man daily. I left the house early on my way to work in order to spend some time with him every morning, and we became friends. Some weeks after my visits began, he asked me to kill the neighbor's dog, because according to him, he would bark all day and it was driving him crazy. That was the first time I noticed that the dog would peek through the bars of the adjacent garden. I also warned him that despite the fact that the old man was obsessed with the dog, he had never seen it. I noticed it by the way he would describe it and by how the dog looked. A couple of months ago, some new neighbors moved into the house next door, then almost out of the blue, the barking began. Every afternoon of every day, as soon as the old man was alone. "You're imagining things," his children replied. But the worst part, what really infuriated him, was being stuck in that wheelchair next to the window while the dog barked at him. I tried being empathetic and told him, at times he too is left alone, just like you. That had no effect. The old man hated that the dog only barked when they were alone, as if he wanted to tell him an impossible secret or laugh at him in his solitude. In time, the old man told me that he tried to find an accomplice before meeting me. He promised him 50 pesos in exchange for him to hit the dog until he stopped barking or was dead. The boy went to the dog's front garden, and the old man wasn't able to see what was happening. The stick hit the ground. The boy left running, and the old man never saw him again. With tears in his eyes, the old man begged me to finish the boy's uncompleted job. Tired of everything, I thought that I could frighten the dog without having to kill him, and that would calm the old man for a while. The dog backed away towards the door of the house, but didn't growl or try to attack. He looked me directly in the eyes, and I could almost sense a human side of him, much like the old man. And then I knew everything. I can't explain what I saw or felt, but I knew that there was something bad in the old man's house. I knew that there was something bad in Kirlian, or rather, lots of bad things, waiting their turn. In some way, the dog knew it too. Got angry at me, started screaming, crying, begging me not to abandon him. I left and didn't see him for some time. Recently, about a week ago, I returned to the old man's house and found him very deteriorated, thin and baggy-eyed. He seemed to be 10 years older. He was more scared than angry, and above everything, he was inconsolable. He told me that the dog barked with even more consistency during the last few days, and that he hated him more than ever. That the barking had turned even more high-pitched and irritating, hoarse and constant. He not only barked when the old man was alone, but almost 24 hours a day. And he told me that 2 days earlier, the last time he heard the dog, the broken barks of the animal had now turned into a language. The dog screeched with the voice of an adolescent because he was still a puppy. He wailed with his throat shredded like someone who has screamed for hours, days, and weeks. The old man looked at me. He held my hand to keep me from leaving and told me that the dog had stopped barking and started talking, and told him, "Your daughters-in-law want to kill you. I heard them outside on the patio. Get out of that house while you can." Immediately after the dog spoke, his owners left the garden, got him by the leash, and took him inside the house. The dog screamed, "You have to know! You have to know!" The dog only wanted to help him all this time, but the old man didn't want to listen to him. He asked me to help him escape the house, and I didn't know what to do. I apologized in the most awkward and cowardly way in the world. I told him I was late to work. I left. I escaped and never went back. During the next few days, I wanted to pretend that nothing had happened, that I had imagined everything, that Kirlian was no different from any other place. I was never a listener, but I discovered that everything was there if you paid attention. It was as if there were two Kirlians out there, the one that would listen and the one that preferred ignorance, the one that thought there was something wrong in the city and the one that knew. This morning, I saw it in the newspaper. It said that an old man had fallen down the stairs that separated the kitchen from the patio in the house he lived in with his family. Apparently, he was killed by his own wheelchair. He had suffered a forceful blow to the head. Supposedly, the oxygen tank that helped him breathe during the last few months had torn away.